Once upon a time in the heart of New York City, where skyscrapers stood like silent giants against the bustling hum of ambition and dreams, there lived a man whose name was whispered with awe and envy in boardrooms and penthouses alike. Alexander Grant, a billionaire CEO, was known not only for his ruthless business acumen but also for his unshakable composure, his perfect suits, and his ability to turn even the direst financial storm into a golden opportunity. His empire stretched across industries, real estate, technology, hospitality, and wherever his shadow fell, profits seemed to bloom. Yet behind the polished smile, the glinting cufflinks, and the sharp gaze, there was a loneliness that money could never cure. He had everything the world thought mattered: yachts, jets, penthouses, power, but his life was strangely void of something real, something raw, something human. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when the chain of events began, ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in consequence. Alexander had been attending a charity gala at one of his own five-star hotels, a towering glass marvel overlooking the Hudson River. The ballroom gleamed with chandeliers, laughter echoed, glasses clinked, and cameras flashed as the city's elite gathered to celebrate wealth disguised as generosity. But Alexander, tired from endless handshakes and hollow conversations, excused himself. He walked swiftly down the long marble corridor, searching for a moment of silence, a breath away from the suffocating pretense. His mind wandered as he strolled, distracted by the constant buzzing of his phone and the weight of deals waiting for his approval. He reached a door with a golden plaque that read "Restroom" in cursive, barely glancing before pushing it open. The soft scent of roses hit him immediately, mixed with lavender and a faint trace of something delicate, perfume. He blinked in confusion at the pink marble countertops, the vases filled with fresh lilies, the plush chairs arranged elegantly by the mirrors. It took him 2 seconds too long to realize he had stepped into the women's restroom. He was about to turn and retreat in embarrassment when a sound stopped him, a muffled sob, quiet but piercing, coming from one of the stalls. Alexander froze. He wasn't supposed to be here, but something in that sound, so broken, so raw, rooted him to the ground. For a man who had built empires, destroyed rivals, and negotiated billion-dollar contracts without flinching, the sound of a woman crying in secret did something strange to him. He hesitated, torn between leaving and intruding further. But then he heard it again, a choked whisper, almost like a prayer swallowed by despair. Against every rule of etiquette, he stepped forward, his polished shoes silent on the marble floor. The stall door wasn't locked properly, just slightly ajar. Through the gap, he could see a young woman, dressed in a staff uniform of the hotel, sitting on the closed lid of the toilet, her face buried in her hands, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Her name tag glimmered faintly under the restroom's soft golden lights: Elena. Alexander's instincts screamed to leave, to walk away before he was accused of something unthinkable. But another voice, softer and strangely unfamiliar, told him that walking away would haunt him. He cleared his throat gently, trying not to startle her, but she flinched violently and looked up. Her eyes were swollen from crying, mascara streaked down her pale cheeks, and the rawness of her pain hit him like a blow. She gasped when she saw him, quickly wiping her face, muttering apologies for being there, as if she was the intruder in her own space. Alexander raised his hands in surrender, his voice low, gentle in a way even he didn't recognize. He explained that he had entered by mistake, but once he heard her, he couldn't just leave. She shook her head, telling him to go, insisting she was fine, but her trembling hands betrayed her words. For a man used to commanding rooms with power and authority, Alexander found himself strangely careful, choosing his words as if they were fragile glass. He asked if she was all right, though the answer was obvious. Elena broke then, whispering fragments of her story: her mother in the hospital, bills piling beyond what her meager salary could cover, the threat of eviction looming over her family, and the cruel twist of fate that had cost her younger brother his job the same week. She tried to laugh it off, saying it was silly to cry in the restroom, but her voice cracked, and fresh tears spilled down. Alexander stood there, stunned. In his world, problems were numbers on spreadsheets, assets and liabilities, losses and gains. But here, right in front of him, was the kind of suffering he had insulated himself from for years, the kind money could solve in minutes but the system around him had made impossible for people like her. Something inside him shifted, though he didn't fully understand it yet. He knelt slightly, lowering himself so he wasn't towering above her, and told her in the firmest voice he could that she wasn't alone, that sometimes life cornered people not because they were weak but because it wanted to reveal their strength. She stared at him, confused, maybe even suspicious, not knowing who he was beyond a stranger in the wrong restroom. And perhaps that was why her guard was down, because he wasn't Alexander Grant, the CEO, the billionaire, the untouchable. He was just a man who had wandered into the wrong place at the right time. Their conversation stretched longer than either intended. She spoke of her dreams once, studying art, painting colors she could no longer afford to buy. She spoke of her father, who had worked 3 jobs until his heart gave out. She spoke of how invisible she felt serving champagne to people who never looked at her face, only at the tray in her hands. Alexander listened, truly listened, something he hadn't done in years. In that hidden corner of the hotel, where no cameras could catch him, no shareholders could judge him, and no headlines could twist his image, Alexander felt more human than he had in decades. Eventually, the sound of footsteps outside reminded him of reality. He stood quickly, straightening his tie, about to leave before anyone saw him. But something made him pause, her face, still wet with tears but softer now, calmer somehow. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a sleek black card, and handed it to her. He didn't explain who he was, only told her that if she ever truly needed help, she could call the number on that card. She hesitated, reluctant, but the sincerity in his eyes made her take it. Without another word, he left, slipping out before anyone noticed. The gala continued as if nothing had happened, the city's elite still laughing under the chandeliers. But Alexander's mind was elsewhere, haunted by the sight of a woman crying alone in a restroom, carrying a weight far heavier than she deserved. That night, as he sat in his penthouse overlooking the glittering skyline, the memory refused to leave him. For the first time in years, he questioned the meaning of everything he had built. Little did he know, that single mistake, walking through the wrong door, would unravel a chain of events that would change not only Elena's life but his own in ways neither of them could imagine. And for you, dear listener, if you want to discover what happens when a billionaire CEO collides with the hidden struggles of an ordinary woman, stay with us, because this story is only just beginning. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because what comes next will shock you, inspire you, and remind you that sometimes the wrong turn leads us exactly where we're meant to be.